Well, I think that there's a problem here. Her voice just don't sound right. Hello, folks. This is Justin from the Ottawa Expositor. How's everything going today with you on this 20th of June of 2014? So today is round 2 of the CBC National. They followed up the next day with pretty much the same information as what they had before. So before we go into it, just want to take a look at this old logo that CBC had. Obviously, they don't know the color scale very well. Roy G. Biv isn't all that evident here. This looks like 2 reds, a yellow, a green, and 2 blues to me. Those colors sound familiar to you? Or maybe, those 2 semicircles and you got the nice dot in the center? I'm sure that's a very innocent butterfly, isn't it? Anyways, let's get down to the business. And I'm sure that butterfly's
as the crisis in Iraq deepens, so does international concern. We'll get to today's U.S. response in a moment. But first, to this country, where for many authorities, the worries are rooted right here at home about radicalized Canadians now involved with militant groups overseas and about those who were but came back. According to this country's spy agency, 130 such Canadians have gone overseas. And CSIS believes 80 others were engaged but are now back.
And what a trustworthy company that CSIS is, hey? What a completely trustworthy agency, how they spy on Canadians maybe once every 27 seconds along with the RCMP before they just got struck down by the courts. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, we can trust everything on what they say.
Then there's the man we profiled last night and the reaction that caused today. Senior correspondent Adrian Arsenault has the details.
Among the ISIS fighters, the passport-burning, finger-wagging Canadian Farah Sheardon.
This is a message to Canada and all the American Tawaghi. We are coming and we will destroy you.
Digesting that threat is something happening in communities around the country and world today. The CBC's story on the front pages of online Somali newspapers, their comment pages filled with anger. It's every Somali Canadian's duty to protect Canada's interests, wrote one. He's crossed the line, burning the Canadian passport and threatening Canada.
So, have you guys ever heard of a self-fulfilling prophecy? How this very possibly could be, how they just create these stories, put it on the internet, and then they just fill the rest of their news with not really any extra information, just with the reaction of people to the stories at which these guys write. I mean, it's pretty much just getting people to confirm what you are saying, even though you have no evidence, and using that confirmation as evidence itself. It's just funny to watch. I mean, they do it time and time again. CBC spends more time quoting tweets and all those different internet comments that they have. I mean, it's so ridiculous. This is like half their news source, and it's a great tell that they're completely broke and a shell of the corporation they once were.
If only he knew how many kids out there would do anything for the opportunity, writes another, to have both a home and a good education.
We are going for you, Barack Obama.
There are urgent concerns now. Where is Sheardon? How real are his threats? And what about Canadians who've gone to fight with extremist groups?
Well, I mean, I think they just burned all their passports. So, listen, someone help me out with this. I'm not very well. I don't know very much about going from different country to country because I don't do it that often. But I'm pretty sure you kind of just screwed yourself when you burn your passport, right? I don't think we have to worry all that much.
And come home. Calgary was Sheardon's home, and this building in the city centre housed at least 6 men who went to fight with extremists. Among them, Damien Claremont, who died in Syria, and Salman Ashrafi, a suicide bomber in Iraq. They and Sheardon among many who've gone to fight from one particular cell. CBC's investigation puts the total number of jihadis from Calgary alone at between 20 and 30. Is that all?
I've been in policing long enough to know that that number is probably at the small end of the continuum, and it's probably larger than what you think.
Yeah, I know. Good old invocation of authority there. I'd probably say that too if I was the chief of a big police force and I wanted a larger budget and a longer arm. But you know what? I agree with him. I think that this is actually a much larger problem than what we quote unquote think, like you say. I just don't think it's what you're pointing at.
And the police chief added some jihadis have returned to Canada and Calgary. So why that city? Terrorism experts have a theory.
There probably is, in the Calgary area, there's someone who's acting as an inspirational force, as in a sense, a recruiter, not in the sense that they're affiliated with a group per se, but they're saying this is the right thing for you to do. Okay,
so some terrorist expert. I love when they say that too, right? They're telling you that, you know, some, I don't know, boogeyman privateer is persuading people that are vulnerable with words and thoughts. What does that give you? They say, oh, probably not part of any organization, you know, just someone speaking. I wonder who is acting that.
Do not, insists the police chief, dismiss the worries about Canadian foreign fighters and the threat they pose.
Al-Qaeda said years ago that Canada was in one of the top 5 countries that they were going to target. And if anybody thinks that it's not here in Canada, that the risk is not escalating in Canada, they're just clinging by their fingertips to the idea that somehow Canada is special and unique and doesn't face these risks like the entire rest of the world.
All right, so as for what Al-Qaeda says, you know what the UN says? They say, think globally, act locally. They also came out with a little thing called Agenda 21. Now, if you haven't read that yet, I highly suggest you look it up. This is not conspiracy in so much that it's a secret. It's on the UN website. Go look it up, go read it, and see what plans they have for us in the future. So when they talk about Al-Qaeda and all these boogeyman, these like these spies that are coming in telling people different thoughts and words and making them do what they're quote-unquote doing, maybe we should think about what the authorities that are supporting you are thinking and acting upon.
And I'm here to tell you, we're not that special.
Yeah, I know we're not that special. Why would we be that special? I mean, what do you think? Because we didn't go to war in Iraq? I mean, it's not like we, condemn the U.S. for not doing so. We're basically like a rock in a tug of war. We weren't going to be gaining any ground for morality. Ridiculous. I mean, we went to Libya. We completely, we had a major role in destroying that country. There were so many different countries as well that we participated with the rest of the Western allies. I mean, why would anybody ever have any respect for us? I mean, we keep thinking like we're peacekeepers. What a joke. Why would anyone support us? Here's the thing, that police chief, I actually agree with pretty much everything the man says. Because what he's saying, they're truisms. You can't deny it, that the problem is bigger than we think. That we're not like we're not special from the rest of the world. I mean, yeah, obviously, I agree with everything that you're saying. I just pretty much disagree with everything that you're implying. That you're the one, whatever the problem is, trust you that you're the solution.
Guess what? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
That's basically what this is. That's the way you're trying to paint this, and it's obvious.
So, Adrian, very strong words from him. What is Calgary doing about it?
Well, the police chief said that with the help of local imams, there are outreach programs, but they know they need a lot more than that. And today, the chief and the police force met with an ambassador to ask advice about, what are the best practices around the world to deal with radicalization. Calgary is very aware that it has a problem, and its police force at least seems to want...
She just said Calgary is very aware that they have a problem. No, I don't know. Calgary who has a problem? Mr. and Mrs. Calgary have a problem with what? Because I don't hear anybody named Calgary speaking. All I hear is the media. You and a police chief who's telling us that we're very aware of 20 or 30 people in a city of, I think it's over 1 million now. And, you know, this is the huge problem that we're now going to have to implement global solutions like you're speaking of right now. Notice the last word that comes out of her mouth.
To take the lead on finding the solution.
Great work. Thanks, Adrienne. Adrienne Arsenault.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. These guys, I think it was around this time about 3 years ago. Let's say. Well, I remember anyways, during the Fukushima disaster. I was watching that so patriotically, you know, the Canadian involvement in this and how we're helping and which Canadians were affected. You know, this is all a big farce, and we all know that. Well, I hope that we all know that. But anyways, guys, write your comments down below. I mean, this is obvious. Problem, reaction, solution. You saw it right there. They're just demonizing. They made a boogeyman out of absolutely nobody with no evidence. It's just a big joke. Guys, post down below. Let me know what you think on this. Maybe I'm completely just running amok and going off on a tangent, but it looks like that they're playing a massive agenda here. Whether or not this is real. Although, if you want to talk about real or not, I mean, I can't prove to you one way or another, but those Photoshop things in my earlier video, as well, there's a video on the internet right now where you can see they're pretending in the video to shoot someone in the back of the head, but you can see each person that they're executing from behind, while they get quote-unquote shot, their head, like, goes light speed to the ground. And what they're saying is, or what people are thinking is happening, is that they have these packages of blood on their forehead, so that once they go down and hit the concrete, that explodes and it looks like blood. But everything else besides what could be explained as fake blood, it looks like a sideshow, and it's really hard to find on YouTube. I've seen it on 3 different channels, but they've all gotten taken off, but it's on the internet. It's a total hoax, and this is what they're portraying as why we should be afraid. Guys, don't be fooled. This is a big joke. Have a great day. Bye, National.
You include the fact that we don't care. See when it starts fall apart, man, it really falls apart. Life moves a heart, so when it starts.